Let's move on to the central legal issues at stake in the case AR. Antulay, the plaintiff, had several grievances against Rs. Nayak, the defendant. At the heart of the matter was a dispute over a particular issue that would have far-reaching consequences for both parties. One of the key issues was the question of jurisdiction. Did the court have the authority to hear the case, or was it beyond their scope? This was a crucial point, as it would determine the very course of the proceedings. Another important issue was the matter of evidence. What constituted admissible evidence, and how would it be used to build a case against the defendant? This was a critical aspect, as the outcome of the case hinged on the strength of the evidence presented. The plaintiff's grievances against the defendant were multifaceted, and each one required careful consideration by the court. It was a complex web of claims and counterclaims, with each side presenting their own version of events. The defendant, on the other hand, had a distinctly different narrative. They presented a robust defense, challenging the plaintiff's claims and questioning their credibility. It was a battle of wits, with each side trying to outmaneuver the other. As the case progressed, the legal issues became increasingly complex. The court had to navigate a minefield of legal technicalities, all while keeping a firm grip on the facts of the case. The plaintiff's arguments were rooted in a deep sense of grievance and betrayal. They felt wronged by the defendant, and they were determined to seek justice no matter the cost. The defendant's defense, on the other hand, was built on a foundation of skepticism. They questioned the plaintiff's motives, suggesting that they were driven by ulterior motives rather than a genuine desire for justice. As the arguments unfolded, it became clear that this was a case like no other. The legal issues were complex, the personalities were strong, and the stakes were high. The court had to carefully consider the evidence presented, weighing the arguments and counter-arguments with great care. It was a delicate balancing act, with the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the details of the case, exploring the arguments presented by both sides and examining the key evidence that shaped the proceedings. The court proceedings were a masterclass in legal argumentation, with both sides presenting their case with skill and precision. The plaintiff's lawyers presented a compelling narrative, weaving together disparate threads of evidence to build a coherent picture of wrongdoing. The defendant's lawyers, on the other hand, were masters of obfuscation, using every trick in the book to muddy the waters and cast doubt on the plaintiff's claims. As the trial progressed, it became clear that this was a battle of giants, with two legal heavyweights clashing in a spectacular display of legal firepower. The court was presented with a vast array of evidence, from documents to witness testimonies. Each piece of evidence was carefully examined, with the court seeking to separate fact from fiction. The plaintiff's case rested on several key pieces of evidence, each one carefully crafted to build a compelling narrative of wrongdoing. From letters to memoranda, every document was carefully scrutinized. The defendant's defense, on the other hand, relied on a different set of evidence, including witness testimonies and expert opinions. Each piece of evidence was carefully presented, with the defendant's lawyers seeking to undermine the plaintiff's claims. As the evidence mounted, it became clear that this was a case that would be decided on the finer points of law. The court had to carefully consider every detail, weighing the evidence with great care. The pivotal moment in the trial came when the court ruled on a key piece of evidence, a decision that would have far-reaching consequences for both parties. The court's ruling was a masterclass in judicial reasoning, a delicate balancing act that took into account every aspect of the case. It was a moment of high drama, with the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. In the aftermath of the ruling, the legal landscape was forever altered. The Antulay vs. Nayak case would go on to shape the course of Indian law, becoming a landmark decision that would be cited for years to come. So, what were the outcomes of the case? How did the ruling impact the parties involved? And what were the broader implications for Indian law? The Antulay vs. Nayak case was a resounding victory for the plaintiff, with the court ruling in their favor. The defendant, on the other hand, was left to ponder the consequences of their actions, but the case's impact went far beyond the parties involved. It would go on to shape the course of Indian law, becoming a landmark decision that would be cited in courts across the country.